All right, big win Saturday. Thank you to all of our fans for braving the elements and making a home field advantage and helping us secure the Eastern Division Championship. I think it was a really neat opportunity after the game to be able to interact with our fans on the field. So thankful to our administration for making that happen, Doug and the rest of the athletics department. Thought that was a cool thing, not just for our players, but also the fans. But as a reminder to everybody, we're not done yet. Big game this week versus Troy, which is important for us. One, because our mindset is to always be 1-0, but two, because it decides home field advantage for the championship opportunity. Disappointed to announce that Corey suffered a torn ACL, and that's a big loss to our football team. I hurt for him personally. He was establishing his dominance in the conference. But I am grateful that he'll be back for us next season, and we're excited to help him along with his recovery and know that he'll be back better than ever. Also have Colin Reed and Ryan Huff. They will be out this week with undisclosed injuries, but they will not be participating or traveling. One other announcement I'd like to announce is a Mountaineer Thanksgiving. Nothing better than a little turkey and football. So on Thursday from 10:45 to 11:45, we will be doing our final run-through practice before we get on the buses and head out to Troy. I'd like to open that practice to the public, so anybody that's in the area, if they would like to come over, if they want to get out of the house while that final touches are being put on that turkey, and they want to come watch a little football, we're going to open up practice for everybody, and hopefully we'll get some people out here. Like I said, nothing better than a little turkey and football, and I remember anytime we were practicing on Thanksgiving as a high school football player, I always knew that was a special practice, and so want to open that up for anybody that wants to come out with their kids or whoever they might want to come out with. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Eli, first off, just with Corey's injury, what's the typical timetable for an injury like that? Because it seems like that would not only have bearings on the rest of this season, obviously, but the potentially next season as well.
It shouldn't have any bearings on next season. Every ACL surgery and recovery is different. Depends on the rehab, but typically 6 to 9 months. But there was a young man at Clemson who tore it in the spring and is playing this year, and I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. So everyone's different, but there's no indication to think that he wouldn't be back ready to go by the time we start next season.
And as far as just his reps being available now, I know Jalen's been the guy that's kind of listed behind him on the depth chart.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Keyshawn as a guy you can kind of plug everywhere.
Yeah.
How do you piece together the reps that are going to be available now that Corey's gone?
We go back to weeks 1 and 2.
With Jalen, we talked at the beginning of the year just about the talent being there, but really it was just about making the play, making the catches. What have you seen from him just through this season that maybe makes you more confident in him, or just kind of has shaped the way you feel about him as a
Yeah, we've always had a lot of confidence in Jalen Virgil. I mean, he's a guy that's got great speed, size, hands. Has played a lot of football for us. Has packages in every game. Had some big time games in place for us in weeks 1 and 2 and 3, and so anticipate no real change in how we're going. It's just he'll get more reps because of the injury. So very excited for him. Know he'll step in, and it was great to get Keyshawn Watson the touchdown catch. He's been a very adaptable player for us, and so we'll be fine. I mean, we got a little bit of practice from weeks 1 and 2, so we just have to adjust. I think what you could potentially see is Christian Wells. He's got 2 games left before it counts against his redshirt season, so we're going to plug him in this week and get him ready to roll.
Last one for me. Dietrich Harrington dresses out for the game last week. How quickly could we see him? And then just, what have you seen from a guy that's now come back twice from injuries to play?
You're going to see him Friday. Remarkable recovery. Hats off to both App Ortho and to our training staff and to our strength program and to our nutritionist and to him. I mean, you see a guy who's got incredible toughness, courage, tenacity to attack it every single day. I mean, this is typically an injury that would not allow him to afford him the opportunity to come back, and he's fought through it. And we tested him out last week to make sure we're not putting him in any jeopardy at all. And he's got the green light, and I think he wanted to play Saturday. We just didn't feel like that was the right opportunity. But as long as things progress this week, we plan on playing Friday. It'll be a good shot in the arm for us.
And watching Troy, offensively, notice a lot of things down the field, some pick plays. Sometimes it gets as far as them blocking while the ball's still in the air with their receivers. I might get two different answers from you, one as a head coach and one as an offensive coordinator here, but what are your thoughts on that style of offensive play? And is that an area where maybe the officiating hasn't quite caught up to the RPO style and those kinds of things probably maybe require a little more attention in the ref's eyes?
I always answer as the head coach as far as the rules of the game, and we always want to abide by the rules. And so if it's inappropriate or not the way the game is supposed to be played, then I'm not for it. I think we put our officials in a very difficult position when we try to say that an offensive lineman can be 3 to 4 yards down the field and then still be able to throw the football. I mean, I understand it. But they don't have this issue in the NFL for a reason. It's a clear-cut rule. But until we adopt the same style of rules that they have, it's always going to be a gray area, and it's going to be hard to officiate because, we're asking the umpire or the lines judge to have their eyes in two different places, and that's pretty hard. So, by the time they see the ball thrown and then figure out where the lineman was, and, that's a hard call. So it is what it is, I guess, is my point. And until the rule becomes more streamlined with what they're doing in the NFL, it's not going to change. As far as their style of offense, they are a tempo-based offense. I think Caleb Barker is a tremendous quarterback, probably the toughest quarterback we faced from a throwing standpoint all season. Reminds me a little bit more of Sam Howell than anybody else, just with his ability to throw the ball, with his arm talent, makes great reads. They've got dynamic playmaking ability. Obviously, Chip's been a really good offensive mind for a long time. So we got our hands full, one of the most dynamic offenses we've faced.
Flipping the side of the ball to defense, and watching them, I'll be honest, I've had a hard time trying to really identify what I think their persona is on the defensive side of the ball. It's hard to isolate a specific scheme or maybe to figure out exactly what they're trying to do on a consistent basis. What have you seen out of that defense?
Well, Coach Hall does a great job. I'm familiar with Brandon. We worked together in 2012 at Arkansas State. He was the safeties coach. He's a Brent Venables disciple, so he's got a lot of scheme, understands how to take away an offense's strengths, and has, I think, done a nice job of each game trying to do that. He's got some really good players. Carlton Marshall, their middle linebacker, 7th in the country in tackles and 7th in the country in tackles for loss. He is an outstanding player that is as good as a linebacker as there is in our conference or that we've played against. Whether that's an SEC school or a Sun Belt school, he's as good as it gets, and we've got to be very aware of where he is and how he affects the game. So we got our hands full. I know that. They've got some experienced players. Their defensive line's got a lot of experience too, and so we're going to have our best stuff in a short week.
They're also coming off a really, I'm sure, a very frustrating loss for them, 53-3 at Louisiana. In your experience in coaching against teams maybe that come off of a really bad loss where they're probably not very happy with their play, do you always have to assume they're going to come out like the wounded animal on you? I mean, they are playing for bowl eligibility this week. Yeah,
we take every opponent. We don't give much credence to what happened the week before. We're trying to be 1-0. We expect to get everybody's best shot. Troy is a historically good program in this conference. They got a lot of pride. They've gone through some transition. They've had player attrition. They've had injuries. But that doesn't affect that they want to beat us and they want to play well on Thanksgiving weekend. So we know we're going to need our very best. Whether they won or lost last week doesn't affect how we go about our preparation and what our mindset is in this game. Our mindset is we need to win in order to have one more game at the Rock. And regardless if we're playing the New England Patriots or the Troy Trojans, we got to have our best stuff because for us it's the most important thing to have home field advantage.
This used to be a very physical, especially offensively, football team. Have they lost any of that? Are they more finesse type team? I know you kind of touched on the.
No,
they like to.
No, their offensive coordinator Ryan Pugh is a former 4-year starter at Auburn, who's a tremendous offensive lineman that is a physical style of football coach. Chip Lindsey came from Auburn, where I know that they focused on being physical and established a line of scrimmage. They just play with 10 personnel, but they still run the football, and they're a physical football team.
Just you guys going in, you mentioned the 1-0 again. Now I know they're still kids. They see that carrot at the end of the stick if they win. Just kind of address that. How do you keep from just staying focused?
We talk about not done yet. Yet's a powerful word. There's more still to occur, and we're not there yet. And so the journey's not over yet. We're still focused on what we need to do, which is to be 1-0 to finish up with home field advantage. This is an important game for a lot of guys on our roster, but especially a captain, Josh Thomas, who's from Montgomery, Alabama, is going to have the most people there that he's probably had at any game in his career. Zach going home, Cole Garrison going home. These are guys that are from the great state of Alabama, and they're going to want to play well, and our guys are going to play well for them. So there's a lot of reasons for this to be an important game for us on top of our mindset of not done yet.
It's kind of a little bit off topic, so sorry about that. But
It's all right.
Watauga High School is practicing on Thanksgiving as well. If you just kind of talk about when you coached the high school, was that a big problem for you guys? Was it
No, I mean,
parents say, no, it's Thanksgiving, what do you
no, heck no. In generic terms, because I can't comment on any school specifically, but in generic terms, when you're a high school coach and you're playing and practicing on Thanksgiving, that is a tremendous opportunity for your program. I mean, there's nothing better. We always scheduled it in the morning, coffee. There was always dads in the stands with coffee and donuts and little kids running around just trying to keep them out of the way, making messes. And moms were finishing off the turkey. And I remember always our head coach would always say, "Don't eat yourself out of the ball game. Don't have the tryptophan effect on yourself where you ate too much turkey and it caused you to be in a like a dazed state." So, but no, it wasn't a problem. We're actually going to, when we get to Montgomery, we're going to have a big Thanksgiving meal for our team as our Friday night meal, and looking forward to get some sweet potatoes and some turkey and some dressing and some corn. Maybe put a little corn in my mashed potatoes and be good.
I guess that kind of applies to you guys a little bit. Don't eat yourself out of Friday afternoon.
Well, we play at 5, so I'm going to go for it.
Fair enough, thanks.
Just maybe one or two. I think through the weeks whether it's third down conversions, protecting the quarterback, you've touched on a few things that you've wanted to see kind of as a focal point. As much as you're comfortable sharing, is there anything offensively that you kind of emerged from the weekend of just kind of looking at of kind of an area of emphasis for you guys?
That we got to be better at? There's a list of things. For the sake of not trying to be negative and focus on the positives and focus on the things that we are doing well, there's a lot of good things that we're doing, but we didn't handle movement and 12 personnel very well up front. There were way too many guys in the backfield. We had negative yardage runs that are uncharacteristics of us. We had unblocked people that Darrington just was better than and made them miss. And we got to make some plays down the field. We got to make some contested catches that we weren't able to make that have to start showing up as we continue this stretch run. So, offensively, those are the things. We got to handle movement better. We got to eliminate negative yardage runs, and we got to be able to make some contested catches down the field.
Back to the meal discussion.
Yeah, this is a good question.
We had a conversation before you came in. Canned cranberry sauce, homemade, or neither?
Neither. No, I'm not a big cranberry guy. I think it was just because growing up I didn't really have that. That was probably a luxury we couldn't afford. So I'm kind of a turkey dressing, potatoes, gravy, corn, mix some corn into the gravy, green bean casserole. Really wasn't until I got married that I got into some sweet potato casserole. That was the first time I'd really had that part of Thanksgiving, but it's been good. I'm more of a pecan pie guy. I don't really get into the pumpkin pie. Maybe just a piece, maybe not even a piece, just a little taste, kind of like a pumpkin spice deal. I think the thing I like the most, though, now as I've matured is the pumpkin roll. I think the pumpkin roll at the end with a little coffee, that's the way to end the night.
Last question for you. Can we get an ear update? How'd you make it through Saturday with it being cold and rain?
Yeah. So I had my stitches removed after the win. Everything's healing fine. They've asked me to place a little bit more Neosporin on it just so I don't get a little overlap like a wrestler. So I've consulted John Mark Bentley about what's the best way to take care of my ear, not to get that thing bent over. But no, everything appears to be fine. I'm hearing well, and so should be good.